running through my mind all day, waiting for her show to play. Turn your radio on, she's gonna play your favorite song.
Hi, I am Brandi Richard Thompson, and this is Operation Growth, where we help you to grow through what you go through. Welcome to the show today. Thank you so much for joining us last week when we chatted with Kerwin Thompson, who is King Kerwin to me and King Silas to all of you. We chatted with him about purpose and what it means to really move in your purpose, to the point that now he has a wonderful career as an actor and as an acting coach for the Operation Growth Institute. So we were thrilled to have him. We hope that you will go back and review that episode and think more about how you will move in your purpose and determine what that is for you. In addition, we have talked to a variety of guests about a variety of topics, and I'm so interested in what has resonated with you, what has worked for you, what tips you have taken away. So as we always ask you for an Operation Growth moment that shares some of your own growth, I'm now asking you to let me know what's working. What has resonated? What have you learned from? What have you been able to utilize in your life? So take a moment, send me a message, whether it be on social media or direct message. Let me know what has been impactful to you, because that will help us to create the rest of our shows this year. Beyond that, we have been talking a lot about courses that we offer at the Operation Growth Institute. One in particular that we have highlighted over the last many weeks is A Seat at the Table. And that class is so close to my heart, because what we do in that class is help you to identify how to take your seat, not only at the table in your office, but at the table of your life, and really get a better sense of your strengths, your passions, what you are great at, and what you are offering, so that you can package it and be able to clearly articulate it to whomever at whatever table you happen to sit at. And so I encourage you, if you haven't, to go and add your email address to the wait list. Our class is going to start on April 8th, and we would love to have you participate with us. But today, you will want to bookmark this episode and watch it, because we are going to talk about how you can take your seat at the table and get started in the process of capturing your gifts and talents and abilities to be able to do the work that you have been placed here to do, and to make the best use of it. You know, a lot of times the focus of claiming your seat at the table is being able to put food on the table, being able to take care of your family and those that you love. And so this isn't just about a power play. It's not just about being able to rub shoulders with individuals who are successful in your organization or your company. This is really about being able to make what you're worth, being able to change organizations based on your knowledge and experience and understanding of the people and the culture. This is about your influence and how you will be able to influence others and influence the work environment just by virtue of the fact that you are at the table. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to get right back to the purpose of today's conversation, which is a seat at the table. So join me for a seat at the table. End of commercial. Now let's get into what taking your seat at the table will actually mean for you. And so claiming your seat at the table starts with some of the work that we've already done and some of the concepts we've already discussed through not only this show, but in my book, Operation Growth, which my wonderful dog-eared copy that I use periodically to share tidbits. You're going to want to flip to chapter 9. And in chapter 9, we talk about growing into your purpose. And the crux, the beginning of really taking your seat at the table is knowing what you have been placed here to do. And when we chatted with Olivia Cream a couple of weeks back, she talked about the fact that as she coaches and works with women, quite often we don't quite know what it is that we've been placed here to do. And so one of the wonders to me when I was leading in the National Urban League Young Professionals was how many young people would come to me, young people meaning people around the same age as me, just so you know, would come to me and say, hey, how do I figure out what my purpose is? Like, I want to know what I'm supposed to be doing on the planet. And I'm having a really hard time. And part of that hard time has to do with the fact that we all have to make money. We all have to be able to support ourselves and do other things in our environment, have relationships and family and fun. Hopefully, there's some joy going on in our lives. And so, really having the time, which is time is such a luxury, to sit and think about what it is you want to do and be able to figure it out on your own is sometimes challenging. And so, what I would encourage individuals to do then, and what I am still encouraging individuals to do now, is to start to look at all types of assessments that help you to better see your gifts, your strengths, and abilities. And sometimes it starts way back when you were a kid, when your parents looked at you and they were like, "Oh my gosh, she's so rambunctious. Oh my gosh, she's so knowledgeable about things beyond her years. She's a wise old soul." Or, "Oh my goodness, she has an affinity for dolphins. And I don't know why she's had this affinity for dolphins, but she's had it her whole life." And those are some of the things that you can take to start to think about before I started doubting myself, before I started thinking that I wasn't capable of blank, whatever blank is. What did others say about me? What did I feel in my core about who I am and what I was placed here to do? And in that is part of the key to unlocking what your individualized purpose is. Who did you care about? Did you want to save all the cats in the neighborhood or the dogs? Or did you want to start an aquarium? Did you want to debate? All of those things that and aspects of yourself that either you knew or that your parents and people who cared for you at a young age can tell you are keys. They're clues. They help to round out this overall understanding of our purpose. There are other aspects to your purpose as well, or keys that you can use to identify your purpose. One of those being your passions. What do you love? What gets you up in the morning and starts you on your day, on your way, um, makes you feel empowered to do? What is it that you can do, as everyone says, without being paid to do it? What is that unique passion that drives you? What are your talents and skills and abilities? What are the things that skills and abilities, meaning things that you've been taught along the way, things that you excel at, things that maybe it took you some time to learn, that you had to learn from other people, but once you got it and you're great at it. What are those skills and abilities that you inherently possess that you can do well in your sleep? Can you drain threes like Steph Curry? Can you hit a tennis racket like Venus or Serena? What is it that is your skill and ability that you are excellent at? So, we're going to look at passions, things that you love to do. We're going to look at your skills and abilities, things that you are excellent at doing, that you have been doing for a while. And we're also going to look at your talents. And your talents are what comes naturally to you. What is the thing that's super easy for you to do when you picked it up, when you started doing it, you didn't hardly have to think about it. And so we're going to put all of those things together. And even if you can't narrow down what's a passion, what's a skill and ability, and what's a talent, just sit with a cup of tea and start to think about all of the things that you do without thinking about it. These are the things that really come easily to you, that sometimes we neglect or we think aren't that big of a deal because they do come so easily to us. And start to jot those things down on paper. Free flow, don't edit yourself. Just let the information flow onto the page about what it is that you are really, really good at. Then we want to take those things. So after you've done that exercise, we want to take all of those things and we want to put them into those buckets. So purpose, skills and abilities, talents. What are the top areas that continue to come up? Maybe they come up in different ways in your skills and abilities, your talents, and your passions. Maybe you have a passion for women and you have a skill and ability of coaching, and one of your talents is deep listening to people. And so you want to put all of these things in their appropriate buckets and start to see where there's an overlap. What about the fact that you really enjoy supporting and helping women, that's a passion for you, and the fact that you coach, and the fact that you have an ability to listen deeply, to impart information and wisdom very succinctly? What does that say about who you are and what you want to do with yourself? Excuse me. So, as you're doing that work, you're, there's a picture that's going to start to form about you. And there are other ways that you can get to the core of what you want to do, and that is through assessments. And there are a ton of different assessments. One of my favorite assessments is Strengths Finder. It's one of the things that I work with my clients on. Clifton Strengths are aspects of you. You take an assessment and they will give you these aspects of you that will help you to see some of the ways that you show up in the workplace or that you show up wherever you go. Because if you do it in one place, you most probably do it everywhere. And so this idea of what your gifts are not only includes these passions, talents, skills, and abilities, but some things that you identify that are your blind spots, things that you maybe don't see. And that's the beauty of assessments. It's also the beauty of asking questions of those who supervise you, manage you, or your friends, those people who really know you, your coworkers even, can share with you, these are the ways that I rely on you. These are the things that come to mind when I think about your genius and what you bring to the table. And even past the work that you do to put your information into buckets, you're going to also write down some of these things that people have said about you. You're also going to write down the outcome of these assessments, like Clifton Strengths or like other assessments that you do for yourself, to start to really paint a picture of who you are at your core, regardless of the job you have, regardless of where you are, and start to see these images form around your passion and your purpose and what you've been placed here to do. And so I encourage everyone to do these exercises. I tell people to do them. They don't always do them. And then they still come back to me and ask me the same question of what is my purpose. So once you have all of this information down, the next part is a little bit harder, a little bit more work, is to sit with that information over a period of days. Take it to meditation, take it to prayer, review the information that's on the page. As I said, drink your tea, which I most probably should be drinking because my throat is a little raspy. And start to put together in your mind, in your heart, in your body, like what feels good on the sheet of paper. What is the thing that you want to be known as doing? What is the thing that kind of speaks to you from all that you've put on this page? And whether you do this work for 3 days or 5 days or 7 days, just spend some time in your morning meditation, in your morning quiet time, in your prayer time to start to ask, what of this is what I'm supposed to be doing? And part of what we heard from Kerwin last week was this process took some time for him. It took him 6 months to determine what it was that he was supposed to be doing, whether he wrote it all out or whether he just started to do his meditative process. And so I encourage each of you to start now, because what's going to happen is there's going to be an opportunity that comes up and you're going to want to immediately know, well, should I take it? Should I not? Should I move in this direction? Should I move in that direction? And if you haven't done this work, it's going to be really challenging for you to know what types of things you are here to do in this moment. So, purpose work, get into it. It's hopeful. It's helpful because before you can take your seat at the table, you have to know the value that you're bringing. And this isn't the value that you see everyone else bring. It's not the value that you mimic. It's not the value that you imitate. It's the value that is uniquely you, the value that you bring to any situation, any encounter that you find yourself in. And that's the level of internal fortitude and power that you need to have to be able to sit at any table you choose to sit at. And so don't neglect the work. A lot of times we would like some type of quick solution that will get us to where it is that we want to be. And it just doesn't work like that. You can't neglect getting the words down on paper straight from you about what it is that you have been placed here to do so that you're ready for this next step of taking your seat at the table. And we'll talk about that as soon as we return.
Join the Operation Growth Institute this month and every month for Black History Every Month, the history of Black people in America, 1619 to 2021. Receive the Black history education you did not receive in school. Each year during Black History Month, we try to cram 400 plus years of history in 1-hour programs, highlighting the accomplishments of a few without providing the proper context. So join us for an informative overview that you can use to build your knowledge of the history of Black people in America. This class is open to all.
So if you haven't come to our Black History Every Month class, get into it. It's American history. It's helpful, not only from the perspective of having information, understanding our history collectively as a nation, but it's also really important if you are a person of color, a Black person, to understand what the context is for your being right now. What has happened before, what is still going on that you have to navigate in order to be able to take your seat at the table. These are all things that are hugely important to ensure that you can be successful. So, not only is it important for you to understand your purpose, it's also important for you to understand the context of the situation that you're in. From a historical perspective, in whatever country you are working in, it's also important to understand the context and the history of where you are in your organization at whatever table you happen to sit at, to know the players, the individuals who are making decisions, and what happens behind closed doors in the meeting, before you even get the opportunity to sit at that table. And those are some of the things that we'll explore in our class. But for today, I want you to start to think about taking the information from your purpose and from those assessments and from your meditative time with yourself, and starting to align that information with core competencies. So we hear a lot about core competencies because they are used to filter out resumes that don't belong to a specific job. We want to make sure that as employers that we are hiring individuals who have the competencies or the skills that we need in order to be able to do the work. And so part of your genius, your secret sauce, is to be able to take the core competencies that relate to your purpose and elevate those, so that when you have a conversation with someone who says, okay, so why should I hire you? Or why should you sit at this table and represent your constituency or bring your knowledge base to bear on the critical issues of our organization? You can say with clarity and certainty, here are 2 or 3 things that I bring in a way that no one else can. And whether that is based off of something squarely within your purpose or something that aligns your purpose and your assessments that you've done or some of the work that you've done in your past, those 2 or 3 things should be at the fore and ready for your elevator pitch. They should be ready for the summary or statement of purpose in your resume. They should be ready when someone asks you the last question of the interview of, so what else would we need to know about you in order to make our decision about you coming to our organization? These are things that should be top of mind for you because they're your genius. These are things that you can do like I could never do. These are things that I can do like someone next to me could never do. And so this is what not only sets you apart, but this is what's true for you. This is what will resonate with another human who hears it coming from you, because it is in fact true. It's not an imitation. It's not something that you're aspiring to be where you really aren't yet. And so by being able to understand and put together your purpose and then be able to pull out 2 or 3 competencies that not only relate to the corporate world or human resources or what have you, but relate very clearly to you, you should be able to expound on how amazing you are at these 2 or 3 things because they're a part of who you are inside. They're what you bring everywhere you go. You should be able to share these with people you're in relationship with, because these are the reasons that you're able to do some of the things that you're able to do in the relationship that make them feel loved and supported. And so what we're really doing in all of this is the type of growth that allows you to really see who you are and what you're working with. And a lot of times we go into this conversation about a seat at the table and taking corporate America by storm and becoming a member of the C-suite from an external perspective, as though all I have to do is go to the right school and take the right courses and be super smart. And it's external and it's mental. And it doesn't connect with the rest of us. And that's just patently false. It doesn't work. it can work for a minute until you're found out to be the fraud that you are, because this isn't who you are at your center and at your core. So I had a conversation with someone recently, and of course I won't say any names, who was interested in what it was that they should be doing with their lives. And at their core, they related with a character called the Black Panther. And this character, the Black Panther, as we all know, is a Marvel comic, larger than life, fearless leader, taking on everyone else's issues as their own and forging straight ahead into battle to be able to take care of their nation, their country, etc., their people. That is a Black Panther. Then on the other side, if I were to ask this person, what is it that you really want to be doing with your life? Like, what is your purpose? What do you feel like you've been placed here to do? This person was playing themselves super, super cheap. Like, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm thinking about this, but not going to do that. And nah, 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 nah. It was a very incongruent conversation with himself, because on the one hand you identify with the Black Panther, and on the other hand it's hard for you to even get the words out about what it is that you want to be doing. And so sometimes our growth is to connect the two, is to make sure that what we really feel on the inside and our sense of knowing about who we are and who we connect with as a superhero or another figure in the world is in alignment with what we're saying about who we are in our work. You can't have those not line up. So if you're going to be mealy mouth over here, then you're Mr. Magoo over here. You can't be mealy mouth over here and then be the Black Panther. And so one is false. And so what we started to see was that the Black Panther was the truth. And this over here had to do with his own stuff, his own feelings that, maybe I can't say that I want to be the Black Panther. Maybe I can't say that I want to lead. Maybe it's not in vogue or in season or appropriate to my current station in order to say that this is exactly what I want for my life. And so this is the internal work that allows you to be able to show up and command a table. Now, this doesn't mean that every time you go into a conversation about being able to sit at a table, or you're at the table with your bosses and leadership and all that kind of stuff, that you have to come in and take over and roar and all these other kinds of things. But what it does mean is that you're able to hold your own. So whether you are asserting a point of view, whether you are bringing information from the people that you support, whether you are challenged at the table for taking a particular stance or saying something in a certain way, regardless of what happens to you while you're there, you can be confident and know that you know what your why is, your reason for being there, your purpose, raison d'etre. You know that. And then you also can use it to move and feel confident in who you are. That's the growth. That's the ability to be able to take your seat at the table. And I feel supremely confident with sharing all of this with you, because in this, you can start to do the work yourself. I still think there's a lot more that you can do with me if you come to class, but these are ways that you can start to not only understand your purpose, but understand your reason for being at the table, and be able to walk in it in a way that others will listen, others will respect you, others will align their missions with yours. You can determine which missions you should align to and which you shouldn't, what you should accept and what you should not accept. This inner knowing, knowledge of self, knowing where you are in your hero's journey. Like we've talked about some of these concepts before on this show and definitely in class. Start to prepare you to take your seat at any table. I don't care who's sitting there, Hillary, Bill, Barack, Michelle, whomever. You'll have it. You'll be ready for it. And so I encourage you to do these things just so not only you can grab your seat at a corporate table, make the money that you need to make to be able to take care of your family, to do the things that you need to do, but also so that you can bring that inner knowing to other places. If you do something here, most probably doing it everywhere. If you're janky over here, most probably janky everywhere you go. So let's gather ourselves and have a clear understanding of who we are so that we can take that out into the world. So, as we always say on this show, active personal development is my way of life. I asked God to grow, and He gave me a whole lot of opportunities to grow so that I could sit confidently and assuredly at any table. And you can too. So I really hope that my growth helps you. Pick up a copy of Operation Growth. Check out some of the other shows that we've done on operationgrowth.com. Visit me on social media at Brandi Richard Thompson or at Operation Growth. And I will see you next Sunday with another wonderful episode of the Operation Growth Show. Have a wonderful day. See you later.
It is